Welcome into the Lions 24/7 podcast. I am Tyler Donohue. We've got another interesting show in store for you here as we get settled into the month of May. Tyler Calvaruso will be on with us in just a matter of minutes to break down the latest on the recruiting news front for Penn State football. We've got a lot to talk about. Official visits are being lined up for June. Some basketball, football news in the transfer portal as well. An All-American honor for a current Penn State commit. Going to talk about all that and more with Tyler Calvaruso, who's going to reset the 2024 linebacker target board with us as well. And it's fitting that that should come on this episode because we're going to talk to one of the top 2023 linebackers, a man that you heard a lot about on this show leading up to the last National Signing Day. Kaveion Keys joining us in just a moment. If you missed our episode last Thursday that dropped, we had London Montgomery, incoming freshman running back, on the show, looking ahead to his process as a Penn State football player and as a student athlete, and breaking down his recovery from a torn ACL that took place last year during preseason action. So a lot to catch up with London Montgomery. I'd certainly encourage you to go back and check out last Thursday's episode if you did miss that conversation. We also had Mark Brennan and Daniel Gallen on breaking down some of the draft prospects on this 2023 Penn State roster. But let's jump in right to it with a guy who's going to be joining that roster in a matter of days. And Kaveion Keys joining us right now on the Lions 24/7 podcast. Kaveion, thank you for making some time for us on what I know is a busy, life-changing kind of week for you.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. Yes, it sure has been, but I've been pulling through, and I wouldn't trade this position for nothing in the world. So this is what I do.
You are among the group of freshmen and a couple transfers making the move to campus this weekend. You're going to get your college acclimation process underway. I guess what's on the to-do list between now and we're recording on a Tuesday around lunchtime and when you're actually getting in that car and getting on the road?
Yeah, well, the process has really been easy for me, I would say, and very exciting. Other people, I would say, would feel sad that they're leaving home and their moms, but me, I'm very happy. This process has been very much exciting, and I'm glad, come up there and get straight to work. But I've been packing. I've been doing a little bit of packing. Just trying to get stuff in my bag so I don't have to rush and forget anything. But yeah, this process has been great for me and very much exciting.
Well, one guarantee about packing up for college is you will leave something behind. But family will get it to you eventually. And hey, I got to give mom credit because she helped you out, making sure you had the headphones that you needed for this interview.
Indeed.
So those are the kind of things that moms do on a daily basis. Hey, mom, can you get this for me? Mom, that's not going to be right around the corner for you. So what's that transition going to be like?
I would say it's going to be very much. I wouldn't say it would be hard, but it's not going to be easy. So it'll be in the middle for me. But I know how to push through. I've been raised hard all my life. Stuff has never came easy for me, and I had to understand that when I was little. When she actually first put the pads on me, she's the one that put me in football. So I appreciate her for everything she has done. So now it's time for me to be a grown man and do stuff on my own. I feel like I'm capable of doing that.
Just to set the stage a little bit for listeners who may not have been all that familiar with Kaveion's recruitment process, he was considered a top 24/7 prospect, inside the top 200, actually, a top 20 linebacker nationally, one of the premier prospects out of Virginia, Varina High School, Richmond, Virginia. And Kaveion, you had a recruitment process that was tough to track. Yes. Coming from someone who gets paid to try to help track these recruitments, what exactly made Penn State the fit for you in the end? And how many moments of uncertainty did you have that the Nittany Lions were the right fit? Because James Franklin kind of let some stuff out on signing day. He said Kaveion was a tough one to nail down, but eventually all the sides came together and we got it done.
Yeah, well, the first question, the reason why I feel like I picked Penn State wasn't just about the football aspect, but it was just all the field. I want to get my degree in communications. Talk on TV, so that played a factor. Plus one of my old teammates and a broadcaster now, Michael Robinson, he went. So he was recruiting me too. Telling him, man, you can do this and you can make that move. Trust me. It's not far away as you think it is, and they want you here to play. They wouldn't recruit you if they didn't want you. At first, I was committed to North Carolina, and I was really uncertain just about that whole process. And they was even recruiting me when I committed at North Carolina. So that just showed me how hard they was on me and how hard they wanted me. So that was the thing with me, and they was consistent with it, texting my mom and texting me and communicating with me every day. And that's what I wanted. And, it's a family atmosphere, and the fans is just crazy about Penn State. And when I went to that whiteout game, that's what really sold me on that. Like, man, like I could see myself playing here in front of thousands and thousands of fans. So, that's what really had me and brought me to Penn State. And then I would just say, like I said, I had a lot of uncertainties about going to school, and I didn't know where to start. But, I sat down with my mom and my family, and we just went straight into it, looked into the schools like, here, you think you're a good fit here, such and such, and just know whatever decision you make, we're going to be happy with you. We want to stick 110% with you. So, that made me feel a lot better in the sense of where I wanted to go, and that's how I ended up here.
So it sounds like Penn State was in that driver's seat position coming out of the whiteout experience last October.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Most definitely.
And you made the official visit last June, I believe it was. And so you went through the summer, you went into the season. At that point, though, Penn State's still at least playing catch up.
Yes, at least, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They played catch up for I would say at least. Let's say I committed. I think in January. I think I committed in December. They was playing catch up, but I feel like it was more of me than them. I was stuck in my own way and in my own head about what should I do about certain type of stuff. But actually, when I found out what I wanted to do, it was Penn State all along. For real.
One more recruiting question before that's all behind you. We'll get into the freshman version of Kaveion Keys in a moment, but because James Franklin went public with it back in December, said Kaveion, gave us a little bit of a curveball, said, hey, can I sign in February and see what happens between now and then? How did that get sorted out? Because I'd imagine James Franklin and his coaching staff probably had a response to that idea.
Yeah, they did. It was like, man, why you want to, do that in February? You're going to wait even longer and stretch your own self out. So I was like, you know what, y'all right. And I wanted to get it over with. And I didn't want to think about it no more because I wanted to get straight to putting in the work. And that's what I do. I love to put in the work. I want to be the greatest in the world at the linebacker position. And I told him, man, like I love to work, and y'all got some special linebackers there. I can name a few names, Micah Parsons, and the list continues. And even right now, Abdul Carter. Who doesn't want to be, like I said, a part of that? So, they told me, man, how about you just get it done right now, get it over with, stretch yourself out, and all you got to worry about now is school and putting in work on that field. And I was like, man, let's do it.
Yeah. So you close that chapter in December and the recruitment ends and then the preparation begins. What has that dialogue been like between you, the Penn State coaching staff, getting yourself primed and ready to hit the ground running on campus next week?
Well, after I committed and now signed my letter of intent, they sent me like a workout plan of what they do. And, I took that. I did that every day at school, after school, before school. So that's that really helped me in the sense of, okay, I know what they're doing, and I'm not feeling like, okay, even though I'm not there, I'm still doing the workouts that they send me. So I still feel comfortable, getting stronger every day, trying to drink my gallon of water every day. Trying to, like I said, put on muscle even when I'm not there. So when I get up there, I can still be, a little bit prepared, in a sense, because, I was, like I said, a little undersized, but now I've gained like 10, 15 pounds, and these 10, 15 pounds feel really good on me. So, all around my body feels great. My energy level is great. My drive is great. So, right now, I just can't wait to get to work. And you don't know how excited I am to step on that field, whatever it is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, and just get the feel of it all.
And let me just tell you, Kaveion, we're only halfway through this interview, but I think you made the right choice in communications in that field. I think you're going the right direction there. I'm serious. I wouldn't just tell you that. Now you mentioned the developing physically and trying to put yourself in the spot to really be where you need to be on the practice field when practice starts in August. They announced you in December at 6'2", 195 pounds. Do you have an update for us there?
Yeah, I am 212 right now.
Okay.
Right now, so I feel like I made a a jump. Like I said, my coaches, even my high school coaches, told me, "Hey, listen, got to put on that weight. And this was during the season. So I kind of took that into consideration. I said, you know what, off season, I'm gonna look to eat as much protein as I can, and just try to, watch my weight. I didn't lose none of my speed, no nothing. So like I said, that my body, like I said, right now it feels absolutely great. Like I said, after this, I'm gonna get a workout in. So I'm just overall happy with how everything has gone with me over this past year.
Adding 15 plus pounds since your senior season, I mean, is that something that actually surprised you how easily it came, or has it been like a daily grind to make that happen?
I would say it's both. It's surprising because at first I'm like, man, why can't I, gain this weight? I was like, dang, like I really want it, because I don't want to go in there undersized at all. That's not me. I don't want them to look at me like, like, nah, he got to put on weight when he get here, which I still am. I'm gonna put more weight when I, come onto the scene. But I just, like I said, I just want to be, prepared physically and mentally. Even like I said, I know physically is gonna be good, but like I said, just make sure my head's right and my headspace is good. That's what really plays a part with me. I know what I physically can do, but like I said, your mental got to sharpen iron. So, like I said, I've been as much as I've been preparing physically, I've been preparing even more mentally.
Well, talking about weight gain and freshman linebackers here in Happy Valley, Tony Rojas
Yeah,
put on about 30 pounds his first semester.
yes,
A
he
lot of
did.
excitement about what he's done. Look,
Yeah,
Manny Diaz told us back in Pasadena before the Rose Bowl that he felt like they signed 3 elite linebacker talents.
yeah.
You're one of those.
Hmm.
But what have you heard from Rojas, from Tamir Robinson to this point? I'm assuming you guys have some communication about what the expectations are and about what you're going to be jumping into.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like we're all trying to our goal is, like I said, to win, trying to get drafted. And I feel like our connection is good right now. They just been talking to me about, hey, listen, you're gonna come onto the scene. Like I said, whatever help you need, ask us. Ask the older groups, and that's what they've been doing. They said, man, this transition for you think it's gonna be hard, but it's really easy once you get the feel of it. And I was like, I'm gonna take that with me. They was like, shit, whatever you do, just put in the work. Keep working, keep doing what you got to do best, and play your own game. Don't come here and get out your element. Be the same Kaveion Keys that got you to this point, and that's what it's been. For me. So I appreciate those guys, and I feel like we're gonna do something special. All around, we're gonna do something special, and I'm very excited for this group of 2023 signees. Not even just me, Tamir, or Tony. It's like the others, like Dakari and Jamal and Elliot Washington and all these other boys. We're all close. We talk every day, so it's more of a I feel like we're a family more than just brothers, since we talk every day. So that's what I like about it, and that's some of the advice that they have gave me, and I really appreciate them guys, because I was really like indecisive and really didn't know. So I'm glad I asked those questions. So now, okay, that gives me like I can see it. Gives me a view of what I need to do.
When you think about the Tony and Tamir and what they're doing position wise, we saw Tony play a lot at the Sam. We saw some
Yep.
Will. We saw Tamir concentrating on Mike linebacker
Yeah.
during spring ball when we got looks on the team, extending to the blue white game.
Yeah.
What is the blueprint for you from a position standpoint here in year one?
Well, mainly the will spot for me. Like I said, Manny Diaz told me that, like I said, you'll be playing the will, first and second downs, and then, when it's third and longs, hey, we're gonna have you out there on the edge, since I feel like in my opinion, I can get to the quarterback. That's what I'm best at doing too. I can cover, I can do all that, but that's my primary skill set, is to get to the quarterback. But like I said, whatever is needed me to do for the team, I'm going to do it. I'm a team player. I'm a competitor, and I'm going to compete at the highest level. So that's installed in me since day one. So listen, that's me. That's who Kaveion Keys is. That's who they're gonna get. A competitor, a great person, a great leader, um, and that's what it is.
You talk about chasing quarterbacks, folks. He's just not saying that. 26 sacks as an upperclassman, junior and senior years combined, and obviously a state championship run as a junior, all
Yeah.
state honors. Can you give us kind of the scouting report on your development at Verina by the time you got through your career there, and what you were able to accomplish with that program?
All right. So at first, I would say it was very hard for me. Like I said, I didn't just hit the gates in running like, oh, this guy is that. I had to really put in work, and I had to really change my whole body in a sense. Like my body wasn't like this when I got to Verona. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of a lot of long nights thinking like, man, and am I built for this and stuff like that. But like I said, if it wasn't for my coaches and my family, like I said, I wouldn't be here right now. I would say that my junior year, the beginning of my junior year was kind of like iffy, but then the second part of it, I would say we got to game 5, and then like a gear just shifted for me. And then after that, I just took the gates and running. I ain't never played linebacker in a day of my life, but it was natural. It was so natural. Then I played wide receiver, and it was like that was natural. So, and you don't really see a wide receiver and linebacker combo like that. I feel like so that was really different about me. I was long, I was fast, I had strength, and it just all gelled together. So and then you build that confidence up. When you get to the quarterback, and then me, I was talking and stuff like that. Mind you, I'm not a talker like that, but when you're confident, you do stuff you ain't never did before. So that was great. And then like I said, I was a leader, and that was great too. But then all the offers started flying in, and then they came in so fast. I was like, dang, like I really put in that amount of work that quick, and then the offer just came in flying. That was all new to me. So everybody just telling me like, man, Kaveion, I'm proud of you because you really came here in a matter of time, and you was new to it all. And then you really change up your body and put in the work to get to where you're at right now. And they said don't ever let that stop you. Just because you have one bad day, that don't mean tomorrow gonna be bad. You feel me? You got another opportunity for that tomorrow to turn that bad into a good. So that's what I took into it, and that's what I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
I think it's fantastic words for any of our younger listeners out there, maybe grinding out at the middle school or high school level and feeling like they have a long way to go. You can get there, but it does, you've got to carve your own path. And Kaveion, when you mentioned that junior year was your first year concentrating at linebacker, were you in the defensive backfield prior to that?
Yeah, no, actually I wasn't. See, the crazy thing is I didn't play linebacker till my 11th grade year. When I transferred to Verona, I only played wide receiver. No, I thought I was a wide receiver. Yeah, okay. I thought I was a wide receiver. I tried my hard to tell them, man, listen, just put me at the wide out. It was like, nah, we just see you at linebacker. And me, I'm not the type of person to be like, nah, I don't want to play that. Listen, I will go out there and play deep tackle if I got to. But then they said we're gonna have you at linebacker. I took that and I took it with pride. I didn't take it. It's not like I didn't put in no effort to it. I put an effort into it. I searched up linebacker stances and how the linebackers cover and stuff like that, in which they taught me that. I had a lot of questions. I'm not the type of person to not ask questions, and I want to know. So I'm gonna ask every question in the book for me to know. So that's for like the one thing about me is I'm never gonna stop asking questions. I want to be better every day. So that's what got installed in me at a little age. All my coaches just telling me, hey, listen, every question is not no bad question, so ask it. So that's who I am, and like I said, once again, I just can't wait to step on the field and show everybody what I got.
It's May 2023, and we're talking about you being one of the top linebackers in the country making the move to college football. We're saying in May 2021, you weren't even a defender at the high school. I mean, you weren't even a defender. Yes, so along the way, you convinced a guy like Manny Diaz, who has been a DC for a bunch of teams. He's been a head coach at the highest level of college football, that you were that kind of a linebacker worth investing in. What was the relationship like between you and Manny? I think a lot of people are curious because he has that history so recently as a head coach. How is he as a defensive coordinator? How is he as a linebackers coach engaging with prospects like you? Can you take us behind that a bit?
I would say he's very hands-on with his guys. When he first talked to me, I was like, I didn't know who he was because I was so new to it all. So I had to search him up. I'm like, okay, he's had a history, head coach at Miami. Now he's at Penn State, and I know he had other jobs, but this I'm talking about recently. That he's a guru in the defense and specifically with the linebackers. So and I saw his high rated. He loves the blitz. And one thing about me in high school, that's all I did was blitz. So, that's what I like. And like I said, he had a great relationship with me and my family. He came to my school more than twice. I think he came to my school 3 times just to see how I was doing. Recruiting me too. And it was just good. Good relationship with my staff at school. Like I said, my parents. We had long talks just about how would I fit in at the defense and stuff like that. So it's been great, and to see what he did his first year at Penn State was impressive with me. To see the Abdul Carter and how he coached them, and he was a freshman too, so he has a thing with freshman linebackers. I feel like in a sense, so that's why I was like, oh, like I like this guy, and I like his style, and I like his swagger. He brings. He's calm, but I feel like he shows you he doesn't show you that calm side in practice. He's gonna teach you how to play the position at the highest level, and that's what I wanted. That it's all great to me.
I wanted to circle back to a couple connections from your hometown, your high school program. You talked about Michael Robinson, engaging you in conversation about the Nittany Lions and what that future might look like. I mean, that seems really cool. It's not like he was a former teammate. I mean, he's been out of the NFL now for a decade. He's an older guy. I guess, how did you two connect, and what was the biggest takeaways from those conversations?
Okay, so I would say he followed me on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I know who this is, because I remember my head coach talking to him, because him and my head coach have a great relationship. So it was one day my head coach and linked me up with him at his house. We had breakfast and a good conversation. This is when I was currently committed at North Carolina. He was just like, man, listen, you come to Penn State, no doubt in my mind, nobody's gonna leave, nobody's gonna touch this. Franklin's gonna be here. He was like, if you make that next step, it's going to be a different level of football. You're in the Big Ten. I would say the Big Ten is much more, difficult than the ACC, in my opinion. So he just told me, hey, listen, just to be that same guy. And it was like the alumni there is going to be behind you. There's going to be a lot of networking, and since you want to go for communications, I went there for communications, and I'm on NFL Network, and I'm on every morning, and you think North Carolina has a connection, we got those same connections, and it was just about that. I would say it's more about off the field stuff, because he knows what I could do on the field, and he knows what type of impact I can make. So it was more about off the field wise, and just staying locked in and being that same person that I've always been.
And then the other local connection I want to talk about is a upcoming teammate of yours. I know that you missed him.
Yeah.
He wasn't your teammate at Verina. I think you showed up a year after he graduated. But Alonzo Ford,
Yes.
making the move from Old Dominion to play defensive tackle for the Nittany Lions. Are you two have any kind of previous relationship? And based on what you know about him, what do you think about the pickup?
Man, me and Zoe, man, we was talking this weekend just about, I was like, man, I'm glad you're here, man. I got another Verona guy with me. So that's good. And Coach AZ actually, talked to me. He was like, man, what you think about him? I was like, Coach, I ain't never seen him play, but I know if he's from Verona, he got that dog in him. He trusts and believe, because I do. He's a big guy, good size to play D tackle, and I feel like he got a chance to make a big impact in the defense. So I feel like that's a great pickup for us, and I feel like we're ready to roll. We're ready to make a shot at this national championship, and I feel like we got the group of guys, the group of coaches, the staff all around. It's a good day to be a Nittany Lion.
Let's finish up with 2 more questions. The first here is it's move-in time. What's on your agenda for week 1? What does week 1, as far as you understand it, look like as you become a Nittany Lion? And what's the roommate situation?
Well, the roommate situation. Well, like I said, I think I'll be. I don't know if I'll be with like a roommate or not, but I know that I think we're moving into apartments and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll be with a roommate. I don't know if I have my own room yet. So I gotta see that for my own. So like I said, the first week, I just want to get acclimated. You know, I've been talking to, you know, Dan Connor. He's gonna we're gonna be on Zoom, I think, next week, and he's, you know, we're gonna go over you know, the defense and the ins and out of it. So, you know, that's good. Like I said, I know I'm gonna eat good. You know, I love to eat. So you know, that's gonna be good. And, you know, just being with the guys and, you know, building more relationships and you know, going to classes and you know, seeing how that works. You know, I'm just excited because, like I said, this is what I've been waiting for all my life, and just to see that it comes, you know, I'm turning my dreams into reality. So, you know, that's good for me.
And then the last one is just me handing you the microphone and saying, for all the Penn State fans out there across the country, across the globe, hopefully listening to Lions 24/7 podcast, what is your message about what you and this 2024 recruiting class turned freshman? I'm sorry, 2023 recruiting class turned
Yeah,
freshman class. What are you guys going to do these next few years here on campus?
man, it's gonna be great years, Penn State fans. I just want to tell y'all that we're gonna do everything in our power to get to the national championship and be one of the best college groups in the Big Ten. You're gonna get fast, strong, hard hitting defense from out of us. And for me, I would just say you're getting a competitor, a dude that's going to work every day, try to be better. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Like I said, I just overall, I just want to be great. And great players are going to do great things, and that's what I think highly of myself and highly of my teammates. So I just can't wait to get it started and get this hit the road rumbling.
All right, I'm sure the rest of the week is going to fly by for you. Enjoy it as
Sure
much as
is.
you can. Give mom a bunch of hugs along the way, and
Yes, sir.
we'll see you. We'll see you around campus real soon, Kaveion. Thank you for your time.
Man, thank you, Tyler. You have a nice one.
Thank you. Take care. All right, let's transition over to my colleague at Lions 24/7 and put that spotlight on the next group of linebackers that the Nittany Lions are looking at. Recruiting never stops, of course, and we bring in Tyler Calvaruso right now. And Tyler, you got a tough act to follow. Kaveion Keys, one of the most well-spoken recruits, young players that we've really had on this podcast. And fortunately, we've had a lot of them on this podcast.
Kaveion's awesome, man. I mean, every time I get to talk to him, he's always so happy and upbeat. He's a great kid. I'm glad that we get the chance to cover him. He's good. He's great to deal with.
Yeah, we'll be dealing with him a lot more in the near future as he becomes a Penn State football player. Happy to have him on. Happy to have London Montgomery on last Thursday. Let's look toward the future, though, the next level of prospects. And that means the 2024 class, which has come a long way in a short period of time, Tyler. We've documented it for a while now, just in the past couple of months, going all the way to 13 commitments. So much movement on the offensive front. One area that we're still waiting on some more movement. It's been a little while. They added Anthony Speck at linebacker in January. He was the second overall commitment for the 24 class. Kari Jackson out of Michigan comes on board in late February. There are a lot of names, though, floating around at linebacker. As Kaveion Keys just said, this is a place that big-time linebackers want to come to and play with guys that are big-time linebackers and under a big-time linebacker coach like Manny Diaz with a brand that Penn State has. So let's jump into it. And I know you want to begin the focus here with the 5-star prospect out of Mississippi.
Yeah, Jmonte Waller from Kaveion. You know, we've been talking about him for a while as a guy that Penn State has put itself in a pretty good position for heading into official visit season. The intel indicates that that is still the case. I've talked to multiple people who have no horse in this race, no ties to Penn State, no vested interest in where Jmonte lands. And I've been told multiple times that Penn State has an edge right now over, I would say, based on the conversations I've had, Florida and Ole Miss are looking like the two that are really standing out aside from Penn State. Ole Miss recently picked up a 24/7 Sports crystal ball prediction in its favor. I would say not so fast on that front. The Rebels are definitely right there in the mix, no doubt about that. But Florida has generated a lot of momentum recently, so the Gators are right in the thick of things along with Penn State. I've been saying it on the board. It's just one of those recruitments where it's kind of like how with Luke Kromenik, I had a gut feeling. This one, I kind of have a gut feeling as he goes to the official visits that it's going to be tough for Penn State to get him out of the South. But I think if any non-region school can get him out of there and get him away from the SEC, I think it's going to be Penn State. I think they've positioned themselves the best just based on the relationships that have formed with Manny Diaz, and another situation where a recruit is a fan of a former Penn State player. Jmonte Waller is a really big Micah Parsons guy, so he sees himself fitting into the defense, doing a lot of different things for Manny Diaz. He likes the versatility aspect of it. He likes the chance that he's been presented with at Penn State. So really right now things are looking good, but we're just going to have to see what happens during official visit season. You get down, you visit those SEC schools. We all know what could happen during those visits in terms of schools making up ground. Florida's been doing it already. They had him on campus for its spring game. So a lot going on there with Waller, but Penn State, I don't think they can really complain about the position that they're in with him.
I mean, it feels like, the kind of poaching in the SEC territory that is just very hard to accomplish.
Yes.
And I mean, Dakari Nelson, Steve Wiltfong told us he felt like he was a total stud of a move by Penn State to bring him in, a national championship caliber kind of a roster build move by Penn State. Now, Tamarian Parker was another one that had similar vibes, and it didn't last nearly as long as Penn State would have liked. He ends up at Clemson. Jmonte Waller, a 5-star player from the state of Mississippi. How long do you think Penn State can hang around here? And what do you think ultimately, if they were to make a move, when can it happen?
I think Penn State definitely has staying power with Waller for sure. It's lasted this long for a reason, right? I mean, I touched on the relationships, the affinity for Parsons. Just when he got to Penn State for his visit during the winter, he really liked what he saw in terms of facilities and the campus. And for a kid to come from Mississippi to come up to Penn State in the middle of the freaking winter and still like what he sees.
Right.
I mean, man, like, let's be honest. That interest is legitimate. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. So, yeah, Penn State definitely has staying power. I think he's going to take it through the official visits. I don't see him wrapping things up before that. I know we've touched on some guys as like potential. Hey, look, he's got these official visits scheduled, but he might not make it to those visits. I do think Waller is going to make all of his officials, at least of what he has scheduled in June. And I mean, you could add Georgia to that list. Now he's got an official coming up with Georgia. I believe that's going to be his final visit of the month on June 23rd. So another SEC power player is involved with him. So timeline-wise, I'm thinking it's going to carry out through the summer before he comes to a decision. It could go even longer than that. You know, we got the new official visit rules. He's not a late riser, obviously, but his stock is just throughout the cycle. It's gone from here all the way up to here. So, I mean, you know, there's a chance there's even more interest waiting for him on the horizon from other programs who might not be heavily involved in the mix at this point in time. I don't think he's necessarily in a rush. So I think this one is one of those recruitments that goes a little bit later rather than sooner.
Waller at number 22 overall in 24/7 Sports rankings at this stage of the cycle. And that is significantly higher than the composite across the industry right now, which has him at number 102 overall. Tyler, where else? I mean, we got the headliner out of the way. That's the pie in the sky. That's the big target. But there's a lot of realistic options out there still in play. I talked about Specca and Jackson on board. Kind of talk us through where that is in these cluster of linebackers as Penn State sorts through options.
Yeah, it definitely goes beyond Waller. I mean, he's the top dog on the board right now, but there are plenty of other high-quality names Penn State is after. Chris Cole from Virginia, he's got an official visit locked in for June. Manny Diaz is very, very high on him. Cole has told me that Diaz told him he's one of 3-4 guys that he's prioritizing at the position. So there's a lot to like about him. You know, Chris Jones, we've talked about him a bunch, the relationship with Kenny Sanders. I don't think that one's going to happen for Penn State. It seems like he's trending more towards the SEC at this point in time. So those are the two, you know, the high-ranked names we've been talking about a lot. But I just come back to Cole, and we talk about Waller and liking his versatility and what he brings. Cole's one of those guys who's very similar to Kaveion Keys and Tony Rojas in the sense that they could cover. They use their athleticism to their advantage. You know, they're really good in space. So those are traits that have him so high on the linebacker board at this point. And I mean, when we're talking about athletic linebackers, you can't have that conversation without mentioning Elijah Newby. He's really climbed up Penn State's board throughout the last 2-3 months. I mean, he's tested really well. He's posted some impressive track times. I got the chance to talk to Elijah at the UC report last week or 2 weekends ago now. And I mean, he really loves Penn State's staff. Manny Diaz, the relationship is good there. James Franklin, the relationship is good there. Luke Reynolds is in his ear pretty much every day as Cheshire Academy teammates. So they're talking a lot about Penn State. I like where the Nittany Lions are at with him heading into June. He's going to be on campus for an official visit. Date still to be determined. I'm going to check in with him on that soon. He's still working on his June official visit schedule, but he's going to be in town, and he's really looking forward to that. He's got a pretty good idea specifically of what he's going to be looking for. And, I mean, Michigan, Nebraska, those are the two really standing out to me outside of Penn State right now. I think he's going to make some trips there, and they're going to get some pretty serious consideration. But Penn State has a lot working in its favor. So really, there's one spot left at linebacker. Is it going to be Cole? Well, Waller's excluded from that. Waller's a guy that he's going to be a +1 to whatever Penn State adds at the position.
The door is open,
that's how
sir.
he
The
is
door
on
is open. Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what, no matter when, he's going to have a spot in this class. He's one of those 10, 12 guys who have that kind of auto green light at any point during the cycle. But beyond him, Cole, Newbie, who's going to get that spot? Between those two, I think Newbie is more likely in terms of level of interest based on the conversations I've had. But we'll see. And this is another one where we're going to have to see what comes about in June as these guys go through their official visits.
I think at this point with linebacker, the benefit of the doubt is all there for Manny Diaz and
Yes.
company. I mean, you just say, trust the process, get the signing day. They're going to get the right guys. You feel the same way about running back right now. It's been a nice run at tight end the same way. Cornerback and safety have that kind of vibe. It's good when you can point to a bunch of positions where you're like, between the coaching staff's track record and the development of talent, let's just trust the process, where there's a lot of programs, a lot of fan bases out there, they cannot trust that. So I think that you look at linebacker, whoever they do end up with, going to be a good one. Maybe they end up with a couple if a guy like Waller wants to jump on board as well. Let's shift gears here. Good stuff on the linebackers, but one of the big things to pop in recent days has been Nick Marsh out of Michigan, a top 24/7 wide receiver, former Michigan State commit. They're still involved. He's got an official visit itinerary coming together. The Nittany Lions are part of it. What do we need to read into here? Because this is a spot that has no commitments yet, and we've got a first-year Nittany Lions assistant coach and Marcus Hagens leading the charge.
When a kid tells you that his visit went significantly better than he originally anticipated before the visit
That was
occurred,
interesting.
it's one of those, man. It's one of those things that really opens your eyes to a recruit's level of interest and where the relationships are at with the staff. Because you got to keep in mind, Marsh was committed to Michigan State for a while. He goes back onto the open market, and the receivers coach at Penn State who was recruiting him isn't even there anymore. So it's a completely fresh situation for him. And he's developed a good relationship with Marcus Hagens. He's comfortable with him. The family's comfortable with him. You can read the article that Alan True wrote with Marsh coming out of the weekend. You got the chance to catch up with him at a UC camp there. And, he's already has a pretty good idea of how he would fit into Penn State's offense and is kind of envisioning that. Those quotes are – you don't ever want to necessarily read too deeply into quotes from a 17-year-old all the time. It's not the way to really last in this industry. But, talking with Marsh, and that's a genuine sentiment coming from him. And I think Penn State is either at the top of his list or right in that top group. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the potential for him to return to that Michigan State commitment. I think that's something that is definitely in play as well. That seems to be the intel on him right now. And Penn State's going to be his first official visit of June. Michigan State's going to be his last official visit of June. And he's going to wrap things up shortly after that in early July. So Penn State's going to be looking to hit it out of the park with him when it gets him on campus, kind of leave no doubt that they are the best option for him. But Michigan State, as things stand right now, is going to get that last crack at him. And I think that's a pretty interesting dynamic with Penn State going first and Michigan State going last.
Speaking of interesting dynamics, what Michigan State's offense, and particularly their passing attack, has gone through since the end of spring ball and just the last couple of weeks, I'd imagine there's some things that need to be cleared up with Mr. Marsh regarding their future and what they have planned for it, because interesting times right now in East Lansing. When we look, again, out of the region, away from a Big Ten battle, Nigel Smith. This is a guy down in Texas, Melissa High School, top 100, right on the edge of that top 100 status in 24/7 sports rankings, number 15 defensive lineman in the nation. Teams like Ohio State, Oklahoma involved here, Texas A&M, and Penn State has been a player here as well. This will, again, it feels like you're looking at a big-time prospect from a state that's far beyond your region where there's a bunch of eyes on, but how much of this is a something with Nigel Smith and the Nittany Lions?
I think there's something there. I think Penn State has been stock up with Smith recently. He had a really good blue-white game visit. He's got a solid relationship with Deion Barnes. He's going to be on campus for an official visit next month. I wrote this today. I still think it's going to be Oklahoma in the end. Our guy Colin Kennedy over at Sooners Illustrated, he wrote an article recently about Oklahoma's pursuit of Smith and really went in depth. And you could see, man, that whole staff is heavily involved with him. And Penn State has taken a similar group effort, but I just feel like Oklahoma has been on him for so long. It gives him the chance to play a little bit closer to home. I think those are factors that it has working in its favor. But Penn State's definitely in the thick of things, man. They're getting some consideration, and it's telling that he's going to make that June official visit. There's real interest. And while I do think Oklahoma leads, and I think in the end they're the ones who close it out, I wouldn't shut the door on Penn State just yet.
when we talk about official visits being lined up, another one on the offensive line now is teed up with Robbie Martin out of West Virginia. You had a story up on this not too long ago at Lions247.com. He's not a name that we have addressed as frequently as some of the other offensive linemen, including a couple we're going to get to in just a moment. But what do we need to know? What do our listeners need to know about Robbie Martin and an offensive line class for the Nittany Lions where there's a lot of chairs taken already?
Yeah, I probably should have been giving Robbie a little bit more love considering he visited during the fall for a game. He was at the Ohio State game. He made it for a junior day in January. That visit went very well. Got the chance to talk with him early Monday morning. Told me he's got a Penn State visit locked in along with a couple of others. He's going to be at NC State for a visit. I believe – I'm not sure what his schedule is. I have to go back and check that. But I believe he's going to be at West Virginia. He's a West Virginia native. He's going to be there for his first official visit of June, then NC State, then Penn State. But Martin's got a pretty high level of interest in the Nittany Lions from what I've gathered. I think it's interesting timing for that. William Satterwhite, he's kind of in a position where he's looking elsewhere. Penn State's still in his top group, but Georgia and Tennessee, it gave him really a lot to think about. Clemson's right there with him. So I think he's kind of trending away from Penn State in a sense. So
trending away from the region, it sounds like. I mean, we're talking about an Ohio lineman trending south.
Yes,
right?
There's a lot of SEC buzz there right now. Those offers were kind of fresh too. Clemson's been in the thick of his recruitment for a while, and we know Penn State's been in the thick of his recruitment for a while. He said that he's been to Penn State pretty much the most, and he's got the most comfort with the staff there. But I think he's got his eye on the SEC and Clemson as the ACC program in this equation. I think he's got his eye there. So Martin locking in that official visit, pretty interesting timing. Packy Fanu, a guy who we've talked about as a potential interior offensive line target, he went off the board to Washington just yesterday. I don't anticipate that he'll be making it to Penn State for his official visit anymore. So while there's spots are minimal on the offensive line, there are still spots up for grabs. And a guy like Martin that the Penn State staff does like, he has the chance to climb up the board depending on how other dominoes fall. So we're going to have to see where the board is at when he does get to Penn State for his official visit at the end of the month on June 23rd. Because there's a lot that could happen between June 1st and June 23rd. I mean, that goes without saying. Official visit season, craziness that comes along with it. The board could be completely different by the time he makes it to campus, if he makes it to campus, because there's no telling what could happen when he makes it to West Virginia and NC State. He could fall in love with one of those places and not even wind up making it to Penn State. But Martin, he's a high 3-star caliber player, and I like his game. I think the Penn State staff likes him, and we're just going to see how that visit plays out.
Donovan Harbor, Cooper Cousins, Garrett Sexton, all four stars in the composite in this offensive line class. You've also got Egan Boyer out of North Carolina in the 3-star territory, and Caleb Brewer out of Reading, Pennsylvania area that we discussed could go both sides of the ball as Phil Troutwine and company try to build out another impressive offensive line class. And a name that we've been talking about really as much as anyone, earlier than anyone on that list, aside from Cooper Cousins, is Kevin Haywood, who, of course, came to campus last year for some camp action, impressed, got the offer. A bunch of other offers came. This is one where it felt like for a while, even through last fall, would he be the next addition to the class? Would he join Cooper Cousins? Didn't happen that way. He's now through a significant portion of spring, coming up towards the official visit window. What's the latest there?
He's not going to be taking that Penn State official visit. As things stand right now, he has 4 official visits scheduled for June. Penn State is not one of them. I know the staff is going to continue to try to push to get him on campus for an official. At this point, if that does happen, it's going to have to be one of those midweek official visits because his 4 weekends for the month are booked. So the one thing that stands out to me with Haywood in terms of his official visit schedule is he's getting to schools that he's really hasn't had the chance to check out in depth all that much. And he's been to some of them. Some of them haven't even received, a real visit yet. So I think, again, this has been a talking point throughout this recruitment for me that he's going to really zone in on finding out all he can about a school before coming to a decision. And he's obviously been to Penn State more than any other school involved in his recruitment, and there's a lot of familiarity that goes beyond the football program with, family having attended and currently attending the school. So that works in Penn State's favor. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where, if he doesn't make the official in the end, what are Penn State's chances really? Jalen Harvey was going to take this same approach as Haywood, where he was saying, I've been to Penn State so much, I don't really need to make it back there for an official because I've been around the program so much and I know pretty much all I need to know. And even he circled back and decided, hey, I am going to take an official. So, you compare the two situations and you ask yourself, where's the level of interest in Penn State at this point in his recruitment? I think that's something that, still has to be determined. I mentioned, maybe Satterwhite trending away from Penn State a bit. Haywood might be in a similar boat, but the Penn State staff is going to stay on him. They're going to keep pushing for one of those official visits. The thing here is I don't anticipate this recruitment going beyond the June official visit schedule in sense of, him taking advantage of the new NCAA rule. I don't think that's going to happen. That's my gut feeling, just getting a read for Haywood and, where he's at with his process. But Penn State, they're going to keep pushing to get him on campus. So we're going to have to see if that comes about.
Penn State with a couple of 6'7" plus tackles on board already with the 2024 class. Haywood listed 6'7", 290 pounds, now at Pope John Paul, the second here in Pennsylvania. The number 29 offensive tackle in 24/7 Sports current assessment. He's in high 3-star territory. And look, we have a lot to track on the offensive line in the 2024 class, but think about where we were last May and some of the names that people were really attached to. No one was talking about Chim Diono, who ended up being a top 200 overall prospect. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of names that we have kind of, brought up time and time again here, and Satterwhite, Haywood among them. Maybe Martin becomes one of those guys now for us on the podcast. But you never know what surfaces that we got. Camp season coming up. A lot of guys are going to be battling up against elite edge rushers across the region. There's going to be a chance for guys to get exposed, drop in rankings, and then show up and prove that they are different players than they were maybe on the field as juniors. So something to monitor. I know we kind of fall in love with some of these names in terms of coverage and in terms of what we want to read about on the message boards, but there will be others that surface on the offensive front, even though it's already a crowded situation in that class right now. Tyler, let's shift gears over to the 2025 class, stay on the offensive line. And this is just complimenting Jalen Matthews for committing to the All-American Bowl, and another strong message that Penn State early on banking a big-time player out of the Garden State, and one that's going to require diligence all the way through. I know he's committed, but there's a lot of programs that are starting to circle around Matthews, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. It's
not. And I mean, what did me and you say pretty much on day one when this commitment came down? This is one of those recruitments where, it's going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint. You got him on board. That's definitely a plus. Now you're going to have to fend off all these schools. Florida State is offered. Michigan recently offered, I believe it was either last week or a week and a half ago. So that's another high-tiered Big Ten program getting involved with the top 100 tackle. And, when it comes to the All-American game stuff, I mean, that's just really a testament to where he already is in his development. I mean, we see the upside. A lot of other people see the upside. He's the latest blue-chip Penn State tackle recruit to be playing in that game. Javen Williams was just down there this past winter, and he had a really good experience. So I know Matthews, it's something that he's really excited about, and he's gonna love playing down there. This is an opportunity that he's really hyped about. And when it comes to Penn State, I mean, they're hoping that he's still with them at that point. And I think that it says something they were able to get the commitment so early. It's something I always say. It's always going to be a thought process that I maintain. It's better to get the kid committed and fight off other schools than it is to, have to go through that whole uncommitted process. I think there's some benefit to that. It's difficult. It's difficult business. I mean, Michigan's not going to be the last top-tier program to get involved with Matthews. That's for sure. He's still got a long way between now and signing his name on his national letter of intent. So it's going to be a marathon, man. It really is. And we'll be keeping a close eye on it throughout the whole time. But again, Phil Trotwin, what he's been able to accomplish on the trail, Matthews is one of the better prospects that he's landed during his tenure at Penn State, and they want to keep it that way. And they're going to work really hard to make sure he winds up with the Nittany Lions one day.
Top 100 overall prospect in that 2025 class right now when you look at 24/7 Sports rankings. As you mentioned, Javen Williams solidified a 5-star status down in San Antonio last year. A couple cycles ago, we saw Dennis Sutton have a huge week down there on the practice field, really confirm himself as a 5-star prospect. And Matthews, set your TV guide now. First week of January 2025, San Antonio, Jalen Matthews stepping up to play some football. Let's finish up here with some conversation on the transfer portal as it impacts basketball and football. You've done a phenomenal job during the last several months and more specifically last few weeks in tracking who's on the radar, who's off the radar for both of the programs as the portal moves and continues to evolve. What do our listeners need to know right now? And let's begin with football, and we'll finish with some basketball.
Yeah, just starting with football. I mean, cornerback, it remains a priority. Traquan Fagans was a guy that the staff wanted to get on campus for an official visit. It looked like it was going to happen. It would have happened this week. he winds up committing to USC along with his younger brother. So that's a good opportunity for those two to go play together at the next level. USC sealed the deal there. So where does that leave Penn State at the position moving forward? I think that, Trey Amos from Louisiana, there's a lot of competition for him. He's one of those guys who's high on the board. Davion Collins from Mississippi State. He didn't play at all as a freshman this past season, but kind of like Fagans, where Penn State, he's young. They like the fact that he has multiple years of eligibility, and they like the upside. Kind of a guy that they can mold as opposed to, the Storm Duck mold, who's already a veteran and isn't going to be around that long. Got Fagans was one of those guys. Collins was a guy that, Terry Smith could really leave his imprint on throughout his collegiate career. So those are some guys appealing to the staff right now. I think now that the transfer portal is closed and all those names are in there and kind of the craziness of dealing with that is done, the staff can kind of take a step back, do some evaluating, and decide who do we want to offer out of the portal, because there are still plenty of high-quality names at the position still out there for the taking. So just because we see a few offers at the position right now, that's a number that could definitely grow. And I think the same goes at wide receiver. I think, there could be a desire to upgrade more on the veteran end heading into this season, but that's going to be fit-based. And the same goes for defensive tackle. If they're landing Alonzo Ford, if they're going to add another guy, it's got to be fit-based. They got to make sure he fits the scheme, fits the culture, all that stuff. And then basketball, Noah Thomason, the Niagara transfer, who we've talked about a lot, high-scoring guard. He's off the board to Georgia. So now Georgia is 2 for 2 on beating Penn State for recruits recently. They got Blue Cane. Now they got Thomas. Actually 3 for 3, Jalen Deloach as well. So Georgia's been rolling on.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Our subscribers always talk about, Georgia and Penn State now doing battle on the football recruiting trail.
They talk about Kirby Smart following James Franklin's offers, right? Is that
they talk about that and like the AD having subscription and seeing who Penn State offers every day.
Hey, we take all subscribers, man. Yeah, we take all subscribers.
Exactly. But no, now it's carrying over to basketball. So where are Penn State's sights set now? The desire still remains to add an off-ball guard and a big. Those seem to be the priorities for Mike Rhodes and his staff right now. It seems to me like we're getting a little bit of traction when it comes to the potential for adding another big, actually from the ACC, Favor I probably just butchered his last name. He didn't play that much for Miami this past season, but he's in the portal. And, I just talked about on the football side of things, Terry Smith, having an eye on some guys who are young and have multiple years of eligibility, and you could develop them. He's one of them on the basketball side of things. So the idea is that Penn State likes the upside and they want to get him on campus for an official visit. It looks like that could happen as soon as this week. I think that's the goal for the staff, to get him in town sooner rather than later. And, we'll be covering that at Lions 24/7 as the intel rolls in. But right now, guard and a big, that's where Penn State staff has its eyes on as it looks to round out its 2023-24 roster. And also, if they could get a guy on the 2023 front in the high school recruiting late in the cycle flyer, I think that's something that Rhodes and his staff would like to do. Kane was a name who popped up late, didn't happen. Brady Dunlap was a name who popped up late, didn't happen. He's off to St. John's, but the staff is still evaluating. So the 2023 door is still open. It might not be a barren class when it's all said and done.
And I'm glad you brought up the philosophy about what they're doing at cornerback now, and instead of the Storm Duck approach, kind of the one and done, rounding out the career with us, more of the Johnny Dixon approach, a guy who got a couple of years established in the SEC with South Carolina, then comes here and really grows as a player, goes from a role player to now what we think is going to be a premier member of this defensive plan in 2023. Tyler Calvaruso doing a great job at the site, lions247.com. All the VIP content available for everyone who subscribes. 30% off annual subscription available right now, or $1 for 1 month. Take a peek in. We've got some prospect camps coming up, a lot going on the site. Tyler Calvaruso, appreciate you. And we got a couple transfers moving to campus this weekend. So Penn State football going to start to enjoy the rewards of those efforts and those recruitments. And we're going to start seeing these rosters take shape as guys make their move.
Thanks for having me on, man. I encourage everyone to take advantage of that deal, even if you're a Georgia fan listening to this. It's a good deal. Do it.
Nice. All right. Talk to you soon, Tyler.
Do it.
Good stuff from Tyler Calvaruso. You can catch at lions247.com each day of the week. Thanks again to Kaveion Keys, who was a phenomenal guest. Really impressive. Again, think he's going the right direction with that communications major. We'll talk to you soon. We'll have a second episode up later this week. We'll start to take a longer look towards this wave of of May enrollees, I should say. We've had some content up on the site for our VIP subscribers last week about what we're hearing, who's coming to campus. the kind of impact they could make immediately. A lot going on right now as Penn State, the next couple months, finishes up that roster and prepares for preseason camp come August. That's it for this edition of the Lions 24/7 podcast. As always, I'm Tyler Donohue, thanking everyone for listening or watching on YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe as you would. We'd like the 5-star reviews. We'll take them as much as you are willing to dish them out. So we'll talk to you real soon here at Lions247.com and Lions 24/7 podcast. We'll talk to you. Take care.